Welcome to Type C Tech Reviews. Today we're going to be doing an unboxing and initial impressions of the Gigabyte M27Q X. If at any point during the video you want to check out this exact same monitor, there's Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. But let's get this thing open. Now, this has been out for a bit, but this has been out of stock, and just recently they've been actually able to keep this in stock, so we decided to pick one up and do a review, along with review a bunch of other 240 hertz monitors. So we'll be doing quite a bit of those recently. All right, standard Gigabyte packaging, which is a good thing, although if not a little bit frustrating. All right, now here's the stand. This is the bottom of the stand. If you've used or seen other Gigabyte monitors on this channel, this is gonna be basically exactly the same here. We have little gloss black accents there. It's a fairly attractive stand, metal on the bottom, fairly good build quality, and really there's just nothing special about it, but it's just good overall. Now, I believe the other half of the stand is actually on the monitor itself. So let's check out the cables before we get to that. We have a warranty card and a little manual, some paperwork, the power cable to the power brick. So this is not an internal power supply, but fairly small brick there. We then have a different outlet connection, so they probably just ship the same monitor globally, and another one right there. So again, just for different countries. We have an HDMI, a USB Type B to USB Type A, and then a DisplayPort cable. Now we have this little thing that we can undo, and then this will allow us to raise this off, and there is the monitor itself. You can see they already pre-install this for you, which is kind of nice. Take off this piece, pull off the plastic. There should be a little piece holding in that gas spring. Push that and then pull that out. You're gonna wanna keep this if you're gonna transport this monitor in the box again. Now with that out, you can take your stand right here. It's just a thumb screw, so you flip this up and you can just screw it in with your thumbs, put that in, lock it in, and then just screw it in, and that's it. Very easy setup process. All right guys, with that in, let's take this monitor up, take the plastic off, and very standard stuff from Gigabyte. The back looks like most of the backs of most of their 27-inch monitors. We have the cool gloss piece up there, which does look very striking, but gets dirty and fingerprinty if you touch it a lot. This is our joystick over on the right side. Not my favorite placement, but not a big deal. We do have a KVM switch here. If you don't know what that means you can hook up all your peripherals to the monitor itself and use the same peripherals with different inputs. That's something really, really cool and something that a lot of you might like a lot. Now, let's check out the ports before we get to the actual panel itself. We're gonna do initial impressions, we're gonna do a gaming test and a ghosting test, so stick around. All right, so you can see here, we have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, which I like, 2 HDMIs, a DisplayPort, a USB Type-C, which is pretty awesome. Then we get our USB Type-B upstream port and our 2 USB Type-A 3.0 ports, downstream ports, and then obviously we have our DC in. Overall, yeah, a good amount of ports, and I do like to have that USB-C, but let's check out the stand. Good height, gets super, super low to the desk. Good tilt, no swivel, and no rotation there. So we just got height, tilt, and that is all. But it does get really close to the desk, which I like. But that's enough talking. Let's look at the front of this panel. Very pretty, nice chin, attractive overall. But let's get this thing on the desk, hook it up with the PC, and see how this thing does. All right, guys, now that on the desk, let's get it turned on, which I believe is actually just the menu button. You can see a little light right there to signify that it's on. All right, guys, now in here, we do notice the bezels are a little bit bigger, right? Not huge, but definitely a little bit bigger with this plastic edge. Right away, not doing full 240 hertz, so let's bump that up a little bit to full 240 hertz. There we go, nice and fluid now. But overall, it's fairly dim. So let's turn this all the way up. Let's go into the settings here. So this is what their menu system looks like. Definitely not the most advanced in there. We have black equalizer, super resolution, display modes, overdrive settings, which is your ghosting settings essentially. You have FreeSync Premium is enabled currently, but let's go into the picture. Let's go into standard, let's go into brightness. It's at 45%. Let's turn it all the way up to 100. And that's actually a very decent brightness. Just visually looking at that, I would say that's probably over 400 nits of brightness. And this is just in SDR. Again, that's literally just visuals. I don't know if that's correct or not. Again, full review coming in a few days where I go through all the testing. This is just the initial impressions. Let's continue going through this menu system. So inside of this, we can control brightness. We have color right here, which obviously I'm sure you have to go into custom to adjust. We have the vibrancy, sharpness, gamma, color temperature. We have a blue light mode, which is kind of cool. But then let's go into these different settings. This is FPS, RTS, movie, reader, sRGB, custom 1, 2, and 3, which we can go in there and you can see you can adjust every single option, which is very cool. I will say some of these modes, like movies, not bad. RTS is not bad. FPS the gamma is so wonky and off. So I would just leave it in standard if you don't know what you're doing. Put it in custom and adjust it yourself if you want to. We have picture in picture, picture by picture, which is cool. We have some OSD settings, language, and that's pretty much it. I mean, that's most of what you need, but not a ton of settings overall. Let's head into NVIDIA control panel, see if this thing can output 10 bits of color. I believe this has about 92% of the DCI-P3 color gamut, so not a massive amount, but you're still getting 1440p, 240 hertz, in a monitor that's not too crazy expensive. All right, so you can see we're doing 240 hertz at full 1440p. Looks like this can't output 10 bits of color, which I really expected it to be able to do. What if we bump it down to 200 hertz? Yeah, so if we bump it down to 200 hertz, we can output 10 bits of color. That might be something we're gonna have to change it in the settings. We'll see in the future, but for right now, we're gonna go 240 at 8 bits of color. All right, guys, now one other thing, we're gonna hop in some Battlefield 1. This does actually have speakers. We'll turn them on, see how they do. All right, guys, hopping right in game. First thing you notice, the speakers are okay. They're pretty all right. I'm gonna turn the sound down a little bit. We'll actually do it here in the OSD. That's at full volume. They're honestly mid, they're fine. It's pretty much exactly what you'd expect. They're pretty bad. But the picture here, it's an IPS panel, so it's got great viewing angles. Oh, there's a bad guy. Okay, there we go. I will say I am playing on horrible internet. The internet is still being stalled. This is a new place, but the image is quite good. You can see good saturation in those flames here. Just visually, the white balance does not look off. I'm very, very prone to seeing color inaccuracies and especially white balance inaccuracies. And everything looks pretty good here. Again, this is gonna be backed up with a full test, but right off the bat, it looks pretty dang good. Obviously, 240 hertz is really, really smooth. I'm on a 4090, so we're actually pushing frames here. The black levels, because it's an IPS, are not going to be great here. That's pretty much exactly what you expect. We're not expecting anything insane here. But as a monitor, these Gigabyte monitors have just been very, very impressive to me because as a finished product, they're just very polished, something that you don't typically see from brands that aren't like LG specifically. Overall, in game, it does exactly what I expected. It's an IPS panel. The ghosting looks very, very low. Visually, while the black levels aren't amazing for the price point and getting 240 hertz plus 1440p, I mean, this is exactly what you'd expect. And for most people, I think that's like the best combination. 240 hertz if you have a nice graphics card, and 1440p in a 27-inch monitor is really what a lot of people need if they're gonna be doing more fast-paced FPS style gaming. That's really the best thing to buy right now just for price per dollar. Again, if you want that high refresh rate. But yeah, I mean, it does nothing wrong. The big test to see if you're gonna buy this will be one, if there is anything wrong with it during the test, if there's huge inaccuracies with certain things. But just from testing it a little bit, nothing is like screaming that there's gonna be something wrong with it. The big thing is gonna be, we're gonna test a bunch of 240 hertz monitors and really just see what's the best value out there. But with that, let's finish it off with the ghosting test. I think it's gonna do great, but we gotta test it. All right, guys, now as we can see here on the ghosting test, it's exactly what I expected. There's a small, and I mean a small amount of ghosting. Let me take the camera and show you what I'm seeing. A very, very small amount of ghosting, but we haven't actually gone in and tested all the settings. Let's just see which one is the best right now. It should be fairly easy to check. We'll go down into, is it gaming? Yeah, gaming, overdrive settings. This is in Smart OD. We'll set it in off, see what it looks like. A lot more ghosting. Smart OD is a little bit less. Picture quality, can't tell much of a difference. Balanced. Looks like it takes a second to actually fully register or switch over. So in the speed setting, we see pixel overshooting or inverse ghosting. In the balance, it looks like there might be a micron of pixel overshooting. So maybe between balanced and the one just slower than that. But again, I'm gonna go on and really test everything with a non-internet based test actually on the PC itself, which will give us better testing results. But yeah, again, if you wanna check it out, Amazon links below. If you wanna wait for the full review, that's gonna be coming in a few days. Overall, I don't see anything wrong with it. It's gonna be a fun monitor to test. It's always great when you have 240 hertz monitors. But yeah, this is Type-C Tech Reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next video.